Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello and welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree Kermood. At the weekend, I popped along to the 64th annual Chrysanthemum Show at Castletown.
I catch up with Chris Hall, who's putting planning in for a new venture at Sandygate up the north of the Isle of Man. And also I catch up with Jen Adams from the Manx Whale and Dolphin Watch. Well, firstly, Kirree, plenty to get through. We'll be talking flowers because still some out and about at this time of year. But firstly, a project that's happening up the north of the Isle of Man, hopefully in the future. Planning has gone in for it. Chris Hall is the man behind it to sort of set up a bit of a Viking village in the end. I caught up with him to find out the full details. Plans are in planning at the moment for a new venture that you're involved in.
Yes, indeed. It's taken a while to draw them all up. Everything's been hand-drawn, which caused some issues with the planning. But they've accepted them all now, so it's now the waiting game, looking at early January, hopefully, for a decision. And then we can move on to the next phase, which is digging some footings and, getting the thing underway.
Now, what is the actual plan for it for people who aren't sure?
So it's been on my mind for quite a few years now, probably since about 2012, that there's not really anything on the Isle of Man that is truly interactive. You have the likes of the Venture Centre and things like that for general things, but something that's actually themed in our history, there's not really anything there. I'm a big believer in teaching people to think outside of the box and not become a slave to GDP in the office and so on. And there is another path forward for people to be more creative and do their own thing. And I wanted to inspire people to get involved in that. So really, this is going to be more of an educational thing than anything. And very important, it's going to be non-profit. I'm not looking to make myself rich out of this or anything like that. All I want to achieve is to be able to quit my full-time office job and be a Viking full-time. Everything that gets generated will go back into the project. It's my mind's going a million miles an hour all the time, every day, from waking up and going to sleep with ideas. But generally speaking, it's going to be a sort of a Viking workshop hub, the front part of it at least, where everything gets to be made. All the kids can come in and learn how the blacksmith works and how they made shields and get involved with all of these sort of crafts, and then take everything that they've made out to the field at the back, to the activity field, and put it into action, including archaeology and doing some Norse religion things with the Viking temple, and teaching the kids how the Vikings were so fearless and how they didn't fear death because they were all going to Valhalla and it was the highest honour. And so it's going to be educational from very, very start to very finish.
That's one thing, that the education on the Isle of Man, the schools, the primary schools, and a lot of history at the museums, people can read about it and what the Vikings did when they came to the Isle of Man. But this is a chance for people to get involved in the actual way they were then.
Yes, definitely. I mean, this is going to be, you can see it, you can smell it, you can feel it, you can hear it sort of education. Rather than static displays or even a single person dressed up as a Viking coming out and telling you a story. This will be, you'll be able to make things with your own hands and then actually put them into practice. The archaeology side of it is quite an important thing. We're looking at like making a Viking boat burial in the back field that we lay out with as traditional, so there'll be a skeleton in there in Viking grandeur.
There's plenty of water in Kirree half the time, so you'll be able to get the boat out.
Yeah, and we're gonna hammer our own Manx Viking coins out of recycled metal, and we'll litter the Viking boat burial with those. Then we'll fill it all in, and then the kids can come along and excavate it with an archaeologist, and she can teach them how to do it all, so it keeps all the and teach them all that side of it, because our future archaeologists might be coming and visiting as kids and get really tied up in it, and that's what they want to do for the rest of life, and that's brilliant. And that's what I'm aiming for, is getting people coming out of this growing up wanting to be a carpenter or a stonemason or a blacksmith. Things that, not going into banking or insurance or e-gaming, etc. Because we still need these people at the end of the day. You can have UPVC windows fitted, or you can have a master craftsman make you some bespoke windows, and that's the difference. And teaching them the hand skills. Some of them might even not even know they've got them. They might come and make a bow with the bow maker, or make an arrow with the arrow maker, and when they go out to practice, might hit a bullseye 5 times in a row and be our next Island Games archery champion.
Yeah, that's a lot of scope in it then, isn't there? And this is just the first phase, obviously, of a big vision that you've got for the future.
Yes, definitely. My dream is to build authentic Viking boats on the Isle of Man from Manx timber, and not just Viking boats, but junior Viking boats, children's Viking boats. So we have our Viking boat races every year at Peel, and all the adults go there and they all get drunk and they have a great day, and all the kids are sat at the sidelines. What about us? Well, there's no reason why we can't have a junior Viking boat races in Peel Marina. The boats will be small enough to go on trailers, so then we can have one at Peel, we can have one at Ramsey Moor Park. They can move around. So it's a big thing to move forward to that. That's my goal, is to start building things that will be here for a couple of 100 years after I've gone, along with the site.
And of course, the thought of maybe in the future people coming over for maybe alternative stays, because of the people being encouraged to be outdoor a bit more, be ideal by the sound of it.
Yeah, I mean, there is scope further down the line. As I say, there's the next phase is still just in my head at the moment. I'm still messing around with ideas, but I know that the Scandinavian Viking villages, they have accommodation, so they have little Viking houses dotted around, and the volunteers can get to stay there for a certain amount of time, and they become a Viking for that time, and they become part of the ambient sort of thing of the setup, and they get involved in the building of things. And so, like the university students, they'll take time and go and spend 6 months working as a volunteer on one of these Scandinavian Viking villages, and help build one of the boathouses, and that's part of their paper that they do for the university, etc. So there's a lot of scope for this expanding in the future. As I say, I don't want to run before I walk, so the first thing is, let's get the longhouse built, let's get the blacksmith forge built, the kitchen built, and the farm in the backfield, and the Viking temple. Let's get all of that running, and see how everybody gets on with it. And if there's scope for expansion, then that's what we'll do.
Well, you're obviously passionate about it. You've given up a lot to purchase the 6 acres of land up here, and you seem determined to get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, the land came to me by chance, if I'm completely truthful. It was via a friend of a friend, that I'd met the guy years before, and when he decided he was going to sell up before he put it on the market, back through that friend of a friend, he invited me to come down and have a look with the view to buy it. As soon as I came down and we walked around the land, I knew that was the place to do it. It was always in my mind from the moment I set foot on the property the first time, that it would be perfect for this project. I live there, obviously, so there'll be a small part of it will be mine and only mine, but the majority of the 6 acres will be opened up to the public, about 90% of it, in fact.
Well, we'll watch this space, and no doubt we'll be talking to you in a few months' time to see how the progress is going, Chris.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I look forward to it, and hopefully exciting times ahead. One thing I would very quickly add is that this is fundamentally a non-profit organisation. This is going to be run for the community and for the Isle of Man, and it will be sort of left in that state for the community in future. So, just in case anybody has any quibbles about my motives behind it, I don't care about money.
Chris Hall, the man behind the Viking project that's put in for planning at Sandygate up the north of the Isle of Man. It's marvellous that somebody wants to do something like that. And, the history of the Isle of Man is all about the Vikings, a lot of it.
Oh, it really is. I can remember at primary school many years ago, we studied the Vikings. It was part of our history. It's something we had to learn, and it was fascinating, where we came from and the journeys that they did through the seas. And I think it's so important that we keep that history and the heritage alive. I think it's a great idea myself, personally.
Yeah.
And now recently with the History Channel's Viking programmes that was very, very popular, it's brought it to the forefront, the courage and bravery they had to travel them seas to make new lives.
Indeed. Brilliant stuff, and great to see that the majority of the community of Derby are right behind this as well, so it's good to see. But you mentioned flowers at the start of the programme, Kirree. I thought they'd all be gone with these darker nights and the colder weather.
That's right, but absolutely not. The 64th annual Chrysanthemum Show was held at the weekend there in Castletown, and the display of blooms on show was just magnificent. And I caught up with Gill to ask how it was going. Well, Gill, a fantastic day you've had here at the Chrysanthemum Show. Well, plenty of gold and silver medals here.
Yeah, well, a bit lucky. Bit lucky, but I've had a reasonable year, and just glad to get some on the bench, and other people as well. So.
Well, I believe you were missing last year.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got black fly, and they riddled every bloom, so I couldn't show them.
No, I bet you were devastated.
Yeah, well, I was. I mean, I wouldn't say they were top-notch blooms, but it's still disappointing when you've spent 6 months, 8 months preparing for the show, and then you couldn't show anything.
And you say 6 or 8 months, really, that long?
Yeah, you're starting really February time, all the way through the summer, moving them on from pot to pot, till eventually sort of the end of, middle of October to the end of October, getting them in the greenhouse so the weather doesn't do any damage to the petals.
Wow,
keeping them dry and aired.
They must be very sensitive then.
Some more than others, but the reflex ones are very hard to grow.
Yeah, and how much time and effort would you have to put into them on a daily basis, weekly basis?
Well, through it, I spend the weekend on them, obviously, but through the day, I've got to make sure they're watered in the morning, and just give them a check at night, depending, of course, on the weather. If we have a hot spell, just make sure they're well watered. Later on, early on, not concerned, let them get root. They need to, you've got to search for the water, get them well rooted. Once they're well established, don't let them dry out.
Well, I never. And the beautiful colours here, June, right down this table, isn't there?
Yeah.
What's your favourite one?
Do you know what? If I was picking a favourite vase from this show, it wouldn't be one of mine, actually. It would be that vase of singles.
And that's Michael Pemberton.
Yeah, and it's because the reason I like it is because, it's so well balanced, and it shows the lovely yellow centres.
They are a stunning vase, aren't they?
And I love that vase. And it didn't even get the best vase, so it just shows I shouldn't be a judge.
But no, like you say, it's good competition though, because obviously Michael's always up there, and Andy,
Yeah, Michael and Andy, fabulous growers. I mean, Michael is top notch, no doubt about it. For him, it's a poor season for him, but he's still got fabulous stuff in.
Absolutely.
So you can imagine the standard he has. And Andy, again, I think he's only got a polytunnel. He hasn't got a greenhouse even.
Goodness, wow.
So you know where he lives.
And the changes that would happen there all the time. And obviously, like you say, they're quite sensitive, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I don't know how he gets them down his track. Have you ever been up Moneymore Lane?
Well, it's just great to have a show on again, isn't it?
Yeah, fabulous. And I'm glad. We were worried before there wouldn't be enough people. And just like to now, because we're on the radio, obviously the passing of our president, Noel Kringle OBE. We've today got Murray, his son, here to do the auction for us.
It's a very special day.
Yeah, and his brother's here as well, over from Germany. Mark, I don't know whether you know him.
This is it, having international visitors to the Chrysanthemum Show.
Exactly. And of course, the veg as well, great. And there's a young girl, Jean Quay.
Yep.
She's done a nice clean-up job there.
They look lovely, don't they? Size them carrots there.
Yeah, taken over from John Corkish.
Well, I know.
John used to dominate that table. Poor John is not so good these days. Still about, so
Yeah, but there's plenty of people here supporting, isn't there?
Yeah, it's great. It's
Really
great.
is.
And of course, don't forget the ladies, the confectionery, all them cakes, them jams.
I wouldn't like to be the judge of that section.
No, I wouldn't. No,
Ooh,
but I
golly.
have got my eye on one of them ginger cakes when the auction comes.
Well, Sheila Gorn, you're no stranger to these competitions, and today another raft of prizes going home there to Pool Vash.
Yeah, quite amazed really. It's just sad that there's not as many vegetables in this year, but it has been a difficult growing season, and some of the original allotment holders have moved on. So, but yeah, hopefully we can get some more competition next year.
Well, this is it, and you've obviously got entries in the sprouts, the potatoes. Well, never ending. Your first prize here in the marrow class. How do you do it all?
Well, you just put the seeds in, hopefully, fingers crossed, and grow, but you just hope for the best half the time with the weather. But yeah, it's fun, it's a bit of enjoyment, and these sort of things, just add a little bit of fun to everything.
Well, this is it. And apart from the flower section, I think you've had entries in quite a lot of the classes here today. But the home bakes and the jams always popular.
Oh yeah, everybody loves those. I mean, with all the cookery programmes as well on the telly, it sort of really heightened it all. During lockdown, there were so many people following them and trying the baking again. So yeah, come on, everybody, put an entry in.
This is it. And like you say, some of those cake classes, they are quite big classes, aren't they now?
They are. They're really improved over the last few years. So yeah, it's a bit of fun, a bit of expert. Have a come put an entry or two in.
Well, this is it. I was talking to Drew and Gil there about the chrysanthemums themselves. Now, you think you're impressed one year, but the next year you're impressed even more again. Just year on year, they deliver such a show.
There are so many varieties now. It's unbelievable. I love the chrysanthemums, but yeah, they are really tricky to grow.
So I believe.
I don't have the time to contemplate growing those unless they're in the garden and fending for themselves. But yeah, there's so many different colours, shapes, sizes, and they are gorgeous.
It really is quite hard to describe, but you don't see many of them in shop windows like your regular bouquets you have out of Marx's or wherever you go. You don't often see these types, do you? Like the pom-poms must be 3 or 4 inches in diameter.
Oh yeah, easily. But yeah, they are late season varieties, September, October, November. I think this is probably, people associate flowers with the summer, but no, these go through into early December.
They are just that little ray of sunshine in a miserable winter's evening. Like the last few days of all heavy rain and stuff, to see these just really does brighten the day.
It does, adds a bit of colour up to a dull day.
It really does. Well, anyway, we've got a good sale of produce later, and all for a good cause.
All for a good cause, and long may it continue.
Well, Nina Shimon, congratulations. Prizes galore as usual. I do hear you're the one to beat, though.
We need more entries.
Yeah, and that's the top and bottom of it. What's your favourite class?
Oh, the baking, obviously.
Yeah. What's your favourite? What do you like baking the best?
Ginger cake, lemon cake, fruit cake.
Oh, wow.
I don't go in for things which need decorating after they come out of the oven.
This is the thing, decorations aren't worth it. When you smell them ginger cakes coming out of the oven, you've got to have a slice, a warm slice.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Yeah. But like Sheila Gorn was saying there earlier, these TV programmes, Mary Berry and all of them, do you think they've helped people get back into the kitchens and get baking again?
Probably. For younger people.
Yeah.
See, I'm of the older generation, and my mother was a great cook, better than I am.
That's fantastic. And did she pass down the skills to you, or did you just think...
I got the recipes.
Are they top secret?
Not particularly, no.
So would you bake on a regular basis at home,
Yes.
just because it's something nice to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a cake in.
Yeah.
Then if we're having a dinner, you don't have to think about pudding. We'll have a piece of cake.
Absolutely. And like you said, a variety of cakes is... The ability to cook a variety of cakes is something, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you make as a chocolate cake?
I don't generally make chocolate cake, but I have an old family recipe which we always do for birthdays.
Yeah, that's the
It wouldn't win a
signature
prize amongst these wonderful cakes.
Right, okay.
But it's sort of traditional.
Traditional, and that's what people love, isn't it?
Yeah.
So do you do Christmas puddings and all that?
Don't bother with Christmas pudding, but I will do a Christmas cake. I haven't done it yet. And I don't do the usual fruit mix.
Okay.
I will put dried cranberries, dried apricots, maybe sultanas in it. So it's totally different.
That is. And what kind of taste would that develop?
Just similar fruit cake, really.
Would it be quite sweet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sweeter. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people like to add lots of different alcohols and make them extremely heavy and.
It will get a tot of alcohol or two. Yes.
Yeah.
We've just, about 3 or 4 years ago, I have cousins in America and cousins in Australia. And we've sort of got a little Christmas cake challenge going between us. And they'll choose a theme, it might be snowman or, whatever. So we all make our cake and we all decorate it and we all post a picture on Facebook or something like that.
That is absolutely brilliant. And do you win?
No.
Oh,
there's no prize because, we're around the world, but it's just to see other people's efforts.
Well, this is it. And Facebook or social media sometimes gets such a bad name, but for the likes of that, bringing families together at Christmas, it is so special.
Yes.
It really is.
It is an easy way to keep in touch.
Yeah.
If I was having to write a letter and send a photo,
it wouldn't have that same feeling as being able to visually see the cakes.
Yeah.
But today, this room is just so lovely, isn't it, Nina?
Yes.
With the flowers, bright colours, so much effort goes into it.
Yes, the people who have produced the flowers and what have you have done a great deal.
They really have.
I just wish there was more. Well, there seems to be a good show of flowers this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just wish more people would compete.
Yeah.
It's easy to make a cake at home.
This is it. It's having that confidence to come out and compete against you, though, a born winner.
You just look at it and say, oh, that's quite good, I'll put it in the show. Or you look at it and you think, I'll eat it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wouldn't get past my door. Anyway, congratulations, Nina. Well, Jean Quay, no stranger of a few prizes. Congratulations and well done in the sections.
Thank you.
And how much effort goes into you growing vegetables? It can't be easy out there.
So much effort. It's mad. Like, my parents work all day and stuff. It's a lot of time and effort and money, I guess.
And do you help your mum and dad do it? Is that how you got involved with this? Because obviously this is competition, which is a bit different to what you do at home as a business, I suppose.
I basically help whenever I'm not working. Just draft it in.
Absolutely. And what will you grow? You grow for shops as well as for these competitions.
We don't do many competitions just because we do have the farm as well as a business. But we have a few farm shops we help out, and when they're short we might help supply them, or just a few convenience stores, mainly just the old customers throughout the time.
And I bet through the pandemic you've seen quite a few people shifting back to local, and I bet some people have stayed too.
It really, last year when it hit, it was just absolutely mad how many people you had to supply and keep going. It was endless.
But that said, doesn't it really make you focus on how important local food is?
Yeah, completely, doesn't it? Makes the economy run, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look out, the potatoes have done a runner. But what does it mean to you to be taking home some of these, they're just beautiful shields and trophies?
It's so honourable, really.
That was Dewan Gill, followed there by Sheila Gorn, Nina Shimon, who was the winner of the preserves section. And what a great afternoon it was, Simon, and Murray Kringle coming in at the end to sell off all of the jams and cakes and those beautiful, beautiful flowers.
Yeah, I've been to that before, and it really is a lovely atmosphere when you get in. And the smell as well when you go in, isn't it?
Magnificent. Yeah. And catching up also with Jean Quay there, the youngest person in the room with the vegetables, and we were just chatting about the smell of a freshly pulled carrot and that soil coming off it. There's nothing nicer.
No. You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, with the darker nights coming in, I thought I'd pop along and get a chat with Jen Adams, who is the Outreach and Education Manager for the Manx Whale Dolphin Watch. Firstly, I put it to her, with the dark nights and the winter ahead of us, all the whales and dolphins be sleeping?
No, absolutely not. It's a common misconception, actually, Simon. Lots of people think that they've gone to sleep or they've left Manx waters for somewhere warmer. But actually, the winter is when we get our winter visiting bottlenose dolphin pods. So these are sort of larger groups of bottlenose dolphins that have come from different parts of the Irish Sea and meet up in Manx waters to feed.
Are there lots of places on the coasts of Ireland and Northern Ireland and the UK where the dolphins are anyway?
Yes, lots of different areas. So, for example, lots of our winter bottlenose dolphins we know spend the summer over in Cardigan Bay in Wales, and we know this through photo identification, so photographs of the dorsal fin. And they're also coming over probably from places like the Hebrides and in Eastern Ireland as well.
They come to the Manx waters. Is it like the bird migration thing? Is it a transition if they're coming from the UK to Ireland and things like that? Or is there just something around the Manx coastal waters that attracts them?
We think it's just a case of feeding. So they're just sort of coming to the Isle of Man in the winter months to feed on possibly juvenile herring and things like this.
And how does that go down with the fishermen? They won't be eating large amounts or taking the whole stock away, will they?
Oh, not at all. I mean, it's what they need to eat. So they bottlenose dolphins are actually highly opportunistic. So they'll take whatever they can get their beaks on, as it were. So they'll take herring, mackerel, other small shoaling fish, and eels, even crabs. Bizarrely,
Really?
they will eat crabs. Yeah,
It's incredible, isn't it?
couldn't think it.
But they have been over the last 15, 20 years on the Isle of Man. It's something that's really been brought to the attention of the public of the Isle of Man about the importance of sightings of them and keeping an eye on what they're up to and where they're going.
Yes, so Manx Whale and Dolphin Watch has been going for 15 years now, but prior to us there wasn't anyone actually collecting evidence of whales, dolphins and porpoises. So there is very little in the way of historical proof that these animals were actually here.
The dolphins that you mentioned and the porpoises, the whale side of it, do people get this conception or preconception that we expecting big killer whales and things in the waters of the Isle of Man? But what sort of category or types of them we'll see around the coasts?
So the most likely whale species that you'll see here is the minke whale. They're fairly common here actually throughout the summer and the autumn. And actually the autumn is one of the best times of year to see the minke whales because they again are feeding on herring and they come round to the east of the island where the herring are spawning between September and November, and they just get involved in this feeding. So you can see sort of minke whales in sort of numbers between 1 and 5 off Marine Drive, for example. But they'll stay in one area and just maybe the area the size of like a football pitch, and they'll slowly cruise up and cruise down and just sort of stay there all day hoovering up their food.
Really? So they don't venture from one end of the island to the other usually?
Not really, no. They tend to stay in quite a small location and often really, really close inshore. Like some of these whales are just about 300 or 400 metres off Marine Drive, off the rocks there.
Why the East Coast? What's wrong with the poor old West Coast?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because East Coast typically at this time of year, as I say, because that's where the herring are spawning in the autumn. But however, this year there has been at least one minke whale that's been seen off the back of Peel Castle for the last week and a half. So the last sighting was 3 days ago. So that was like Tuesday, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday this week. And he was only about 200 metres off the castle. So just feeding. We know he was feeding because there were lots of gannets diving in the same area as the whale, and gannets have exceptional eyesight, so they fly around looking for whales and dolphins, assume that those mammals are feeding and pushing fish up to the surface, so they dive down for easy pickings.
Jen Adams, the Education and Outreach Manager for the Manx Whale and Dolphin Watch, and certainly not sleeping, and lots of activity going on in the seas. And great to hear that different ones have been sighted in different areas. It's always nice to hear, isn't it?
It really is magnificent around the coast of the Isle of Man, especially this summer. We've just had the spots that everybody's seeing them. And then the gift we have with social media is bringing it closer to the people that may have missed that viewing and sighting, and it just really shows how alive the seas are around the island.
It is brilliant. If you've missed any part of the programme or want to listen to the interviews in full, you can go down to Manx Radio's website, powered by Millie Chaps of Ramsey, and download the podcast, or just go to the Listen Again and you'll hear the interviews in full. We're back next Tuesday with Countryside, so until then, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Kermode.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.